Hello everyone, Manithral here, and welcome to not quite an OSRS weekly update, but there is some information I think that people should know. This is a group Ironman blog, so there is a lot to actually kind of go over. That's why I wanted to kind of make this video. However, like I said, there's a group Ironman design overview. So what it is you can make a group of 2 to 5 players, essentially kind of like a small clan, and this can be of just Ironman. So it doesn't exactly say if you can do it's just a group of Ironmen, just a group of hardcore Ironmen, or just a group of the ultimate. Got a feeling that is how it actually is. Also, group Ironman will have their own unique icon next to their name, but this is basically stating that you can be in Ironman mode but be playing with your friends, so you have all the benefits of being able to trade with people of your group, but you still can't do anything outside of the Ironman activities. So, like, if we were to run into each other, you couldn't trade with me if you were Group Ironman, unless we were both in an Ironman and we were both in the same group. So it's kind of something to be very keen on. But yeah, it does go to 2 to 5 players. There is going to be a leaderboard positions, so it's going to be a little bit kind of competitive. The group Ironman group is made of, I already said that, all normal iron restrictions apply to them when interacting with the world outside of the group. In contrast, interactions within the group are more regular old school RuneScape. So they even see that here. It's pretty typical. What that means is that, for example, in combat, if you are in a group Ironman, if you go out and you start attacking something and another player comes up, it kind of messes things up. However, if you're in a group Ironman and one of your other teammates, one of your other group members comes up and you're both fighting that creature, then it's just whoever did the most damage, just like regular OSRS. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. So, obviously, this kind of helps out a lot more when it comes to bossing, because, for example, Ironman accounts, they can partake in regular stuff, but it's going to make it a little bit easier. So Chambers of Zarek will be a bit easier, Nightmare will be a bit easier, because you will be able to have friends in there that, you can actually work with rather than work against. Trading, you can trade with other group members in it. If you do wish to not be an Ironman anymore, you have to actually leave the group. And there's actually quite a bit of information about leaving a group coming up. High scores, so this is your chance to prove that you're the best of the best, especially in a high scorer situation like this. I think that's kind of cool. And there is ranks which are determined by combined total skill level. So it's kind of like a mini clan, if you will. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then you got the player in house where you can visit each other's player in house, check it out, goof off, have fun, whatever you need to do. There is a recruitment, so you can form a group between 2 to 5 players, like I said before. The initial player who starts it will be the leader of the group. So it's better to try to establish that beforehand. You can step down, but, it's just easier to start it out that way. There will be, in addition to Tutorial Island for the first time in ever, the new island is called the Node, and it'll have a whole bunch of information to help you get along your ways about being a group Ironman. So here's some of the things right here. So solo modes, there's none. No Ironman restrictions will apply to this account. Well, that's a regular... These are all the restrictions, basically. So, regular account, there's no restrictions. Standard, Ironman can't trade, stake, receive PK, loot, scavenge dropped items, nor play certain multiplayer games. Hardcore is all the same things, except for you only have one life. If you die, you go down to regular Ironman. And Ultimate is kind of the hardest one. You can't use banks nor retain any items on death in dangerous areas. But there's going to be a group now. So no Ironman apply to this. Well, regulars, like no Ironman restrictions. Group Ironman, they cannot trade with anyone outside of the group. Stake, receive PK loot, scavenge dropped items. So that kind of a thing. And the hardcore group Ironman, in addition to the standard group Ironman rules, hardcore Ironmen have a set number of lives. So a dangerous death will result in losing one of your lives. Upon reaching 0 lives, you will all be downgraded to regular group Ironman. So that one's a little bit more dangerous, especially for groups. So keep that in mind. That, you know, if you have somebody in your group who just keeps dying like crazy, you gotta try to find a way to nip that in the butt. Because it's not just you, it's your entire group. And if the entire group loses enough lives, you're down to the regular Ironman account. So, important things to keep in mind. This is mostly just explaining, you know, a little bit here about the node. It's showing and getting people used to the controls, you know, with the banking system, because it is actually going to be a shared bank between the group members, which is actually very interesting. So I do recommend going to the node and getting the tutorial on it, because there is some things that are rather important to check out and play around with, especially if you're going to form rules and stuff like that. And make sure these are people you can trust. Keep that in mind. So if you're going to be forming a group, you have to go into, you know, the group. You'll go to Iron Group, create group, and then group members. There is a group name, so you can do that, but you just got to go around and you got to get people in for your group. You can have up to 5, like I said, and as long as you get that second person, you've actually created your group. So if you're trying to get recruited into an existing group, that is possible if they don't have 5 people. All new group members must be fresh accounts. The second they leave, the node players can no longer join a group, so that's actually kind of important. You have to join a group before you leave the node. Well, if a player chooses to leave their group or is kicked out, this will leave a gap. For example, what used to be a group of 4 will still be considered a group of 4 player group and high score. But in reality, we'll only have the 3 remaining members and an open gap. So this gap, well, this group can go to the node to pick up a new group member. So the node is kind of like your recruitment area if you are doing a group Ironman, if you need more people. Personally, I would suggest trying to get at least 5 people just in case. So there is some hot topics, which is the abdication of the leader. So every group will have a leader. By default, this is the person who created the group. However, this person may wish to quit the game. So play another account or focus on other activities for a bit at that point. You wouldn't want the group to be fully dependent on this individual, because it might ruin the fun for everybody else. An absent leader can be really bad for the morale, potential to lead to more people quitting. So they made it possible for the leader to abdicate. So you can step down if need be. The leader can choose to step down from their position at any time. There's a 7-day grace period for that, before the decision actually takes place, just in case anybody changes their mind. Let's say their account gets hacked and, you know, the person tries to make them leave. You know, you have a little bit of a buffer time where you can still get in and actually take, you know, fix that issue. And if a leader has been inactive for 30 days, leadership will be assigned to the group member who has been in the group the longest. If more than one member join the same day, the leadership will go to whichever member joined the group first. So don't worry, the leader is not removed from the group, they're just demoted this way. And again, if you don't want to actually be the leader and you're the one that ends up getting the lead position that way, you can step down and hand it off to somebody else. That is something to keep in mind. You can leave a group. So, you know, maybe not everybody's working out for you. You can leave that group. You can always leave the group by speaking to the Iron Tutor on the node. Leaders can also remove members from a group. There's grace periods for members leaving or being removed, so look at that. It's a lot like the stepping down. You have a 7-day grace period. So the 7 days is just in case, you know, let's say you patch whatever issue there is up, in, you know, in case the group wants to kick you, or if somebody wants to leave, you fix whatever was going on, whatever was causing the issue. And also, it's a great way to prevent in case somebody gets hacked into, and then, you know, they make them leave, and then they actually didn't want to leave, so you still have that grace period of hopefully that getting fixed before that. So, if you decide to leave a group, you must pick one of the two options. You could choose to keep the group Ironman status. If you choose to choose that, you will be placed in a new group where you are the leader. The group size remains the same. You'll keep your levels, stats, quests, variables, and untradeable items. However, tradable items are deleted. So, if you become a regular account, you will lose GIM status. So this will also be removed from the GIM group and high scores. You will also keep all levels, stats, quests, variables, and tradable items. You also get to keep your tradable items. So that's actually kind of decent. But, you know, there is two options, so you do have to kind of weigh that. Boosting. So they want to avoid group Ironman boosting being meta and prevent a situation where experienced players come in and artificially boost new groups. They certainly don't want new groups to be tricked into paying anybody to get a good start. However, assisting your friends and long-term group members is not against the rules, and they want to allow for that. The following systems are therefore in place to prevent boosting: prestige groups and high scores. So, groups that remain the same after aforementioned have a prestige status. This means they are distinguished from other groups. This will encourage groups to stick together, because obviously you want to kind of show off a little bit and be the best out there, so prestige is there. So, there is also a gradual wealth transfer system. When a new member joins a new group, there are hard caps on how much wealth that player can receive from their existing members of the group and from the shared storage. This prevents existing groups from transferring all their wealth to the new members before leaving. By prolonging the transfer, this should deter boosters while not being too much inconvenient for legitimate players. The cap starts at 1 mil, then 20 mil, then 50 mil, 100 mil, and then at week 5, the cap is completely lifted. There is some content restricted items. So, to ensure that players are using certain items and are deserving of them, they will be restricting the use of them until new player has successfully completed the relevant quest at least once. For example, if a player wishes to use the Grazi Rapier, they must complete Theater Blood if they would be able to use all the weapons from that raid. Similarly, they must complete at least one Chambers of Zarek to use any of the items from there. All boss uniques would require at least one boss kill of the relevant boss. So, you need to have at least some participation in those kind of matters. So, the group Hardcore Ironman, like we said, there's a number of lives equal to the number of players in the group at the time of formation. So if you have a group of 5, that means your group has 5 lives. And if your group total hits 0, you all revert to regular Ironman. So do keep that in mind. That is something that is very painful if you have somebody in your group that is kind of reckless. But that's actually it for this for today. I did want to go over this a little bit because there is some information. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll see what I can find out for you. But that'll do it for this video, so thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, later guys.